Welcome everybody to a look at the 1980 film Airplane, which is released as part of the ZAZ box set right behind me. All three films in the box set are in 4K, which obviously includes this one. And yeah, this is directed by David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, who in their own different capacities have gone on to do other works of film. Obviously, the also both worked. All three of them worked on the subsequent two films in this box set, but this is the only one alongside what was it? Was it Top Secret? Yeah, alongside Top Secret that was actually directed by the all three of them as well. Whereas The Naked Gun was only directed by David Zucker, and yeah, they've gone on to a completely different kind of works separately. You know, I think one of them went on to direct the film Ghost, which was a huge success, and then the one of them also went on to do the Hot Shots films and the Scary Movie films. So yeah, they've only worked together as directors twice, and this is the first time and arguably the best time that they've worked together. But obviously, they also had two of them had writing credits on The Naked Gun as well as one of them directing. So yeah, overall a good trio of people to work on three films, quite frankly, and it's a shame that they didn't get to do more. But yeah, this is a disaster comedy film, clocking in at 87 minutes long. Stars the likes of Robert Hayes, who was in Cat's Eye, as well as Julie Haggerty, who was in What About Bob and Marriage Story, and finally Leslie Nielsen, who was in 15 other films that I've seen so far from him. He was before this most well known for his disaster films like Poseidon Adventure and City on Fire, but he was also in Forbidden Planet, which is a rather excellent sci-fi film. But then he'd go on subsequently to star in the Naked Gun series, all three films, as well as Spy Hard and Wrongfully Accused. And then you've got a really rather good supporting cast with the likes of Lloyd Bridges, who was in High Noon, Peter Graves, who was in Black Tuesday, which is a film released by Eureka recently, which I also rather enjoyed, and Robert Stack, who was in a disaster film of his own called The Last Voyage, which was a film that was entirely set on a cruise ship that was, or a ocean liner, which I'm not sure which one it was, but it was being sent for scrap. So the film producers basically bought it and destroyed the hell out of it, sank it, and such like that. So yeah, he was also in his disaster in a disaster film at the very least before this one. So an ex-fighter pilot is forced to take over the controls of an airliner when the flight crew succumbs to food poisoning. So if you just read that premise, just read the title, didn't see any of the promotional material, the poster, or anything like that, you'd assume this is just a straight disaster film, right in the final days of the golden age of the disaster film, because was released, I think, in the same year as When Time Ran Out, which is absolutely dreadful. So, yeah. But now, sure, some of the jokes of this film haven't aged the best, which is primarily due to the jokes being based on references that I am not knowledgeable about. I'm sure they found them funny at the time, but yeah, some of them haven't aged particularly well. But the majority of the jokes do land. Plus, even though they aren't as numerous as the likes of Top Secret, as that film hits, there's probably a joke or two every minute. This ultimately is more focused with its spoof of the disaster genre, whereas Top Secret was a lot more sporadic in what it was parodying. You had 50s rock and roll, you had 60s beach movies, you also had spy films and such. This is a lot more focused on spoofing the disaster genre, and on top of that, the plot is also stronger. So you have a more focused element that you're taking the mick out of, but you also have a stronger plot on top of that. The cast is also really good, with a career-changing role for Leslie Nielsen, as he was primarily be in comedy films after this, with him being the highlight. It is well paced. The production is suitably goofy in the right places, but still convincing when it needs to be. So yeah, there's some goofy practical effects when it comes to the plane, especially when it crashes into the airport runway, and that looks suitably goofy. But then there's also quite a convincing scene where an airplane actually crashes through a airport window, which looks like it was done for real because it looks like a properly sized airplane nose. So yeah, that's pretty good. Then you got the score, which is also 1 point. It is all engrossing throughout, and it is still a hilarious effort for the majority of its running time, even with some of the jokes not entirely landing. So yeah, 5 out of 5 effort, marginally above the likes of Top Secret, as I gave that 4 out of 5. But yeah, this is still the best that the trio would do, and yeah, with Naked Gun also being a 4 out of 5 from me, which I've already looked at in 4K via a steelbook that came out a while ago. So yeah, but it's nice to have all three in this ZAZ box set, as yeah, it keeps them all contained. And at the end of the day, I never had Airplane or Top Secret on 4K before, and I only ever originally had Airplane on Blu-ray. So yeah, it's nice to have all three together. And yeah, the 4K looks pretty good. It's nothing spectacular. I imagine some people that are able in the know about 4K and the different kind of encoding and such like that can find out whether or not it's as good as it could be. But I didn't find any issues with it in terms of quality of image or sound. So on the whole, a fairly excellent film, and yeah, one of my favourite comedy films in general. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching. If you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.